We have a loaded Saturday of college basketball games. You guys are listening to this after the Michigan State-Michigan game. I picked Michigan State. I think Michigan State was going to win that game. Hopefully they did give some good juju going into Saturday. Let's start with the marquee matchup, BYU at Kansas. Darren Peterson, AJ DeBansa, box office college basketball. This is why we play. We're coming off of Saturday last week where we saw three different freshmen with 40 burgers from DeBansa, Fleming, and Wagler. And now we have the matchup with the number 1 overall pick, number 2 overall pick, potentially Kansas, BYU. I'm not a believer in this BYU team. They've struggled against the good competition they've seen this year. And outside of those big three, Wright, DeBansa, the white kid, Richie Saunders, outside of those three, they account for 65% of the shots made or the shots attempted on this BYU offense. If one of them has an off night, this offense shrinks. We saw that against Arizona with AJ DeBansa. Yes, he had 24 points, but he was 20-something% from the field. Kansas is very good offensively, obviously. They're a damn good defensive team, man. Ken Palm currently has these two separated by one spot. Kansas is the 14th ranked team. BYU is ranked 15th. Both teams are led, obviously, star freshman DeBansa, Darren Peterson, must-see TV here. Kansas is undefeated in home games Darren Peterson has played this year. I think they're a legitimate national championship contender if Darren Peterson is on the court. Bill Self has a record of 292 and 16 at Allen Fieldhouse. Kansas with Darren Peterson is obviously a national championship contender. I think in an extremely talented freshman class, Darren Peterson is the most talented of the bunch. Maybe not the most physically imposing, not the most athletic, but he's the most fluid offensively. And that does include AJ DeBansa, who is a ridiculous prospect in his own right, but it just looks more fluid in not just the scoring aspect, which obviously DeBansa can score with these, but his ability to digest defenses, read defenses, and then make the right basketball play, where sometimes the BYU offense can be stagnant and we get into ISO ball, AJ DeBansa hawking. I think we see Darren Peterson flow with the rhythm of the offense way better than the DeBansa does, but DeBansa does have like 3-4 inches on, which is a little bit, and not concerning, but obviously the taller the better in basketball, right? But Derek Peterson has been incredible. 42% from the field, 50% from three, 85% from the line. He's a stud. They might have the best three-point shooting backcourt in the country. Both Trey White and Peterson shoot above 40% from three. They have an experienced senior ball handler in Melvin Council, who's a 5-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, 34% from three this season as well. He's played 34 minutes in every season of college basketball he has played. A lot of ball from this Melvin Council guy. He's been sharing the rock well, doesn't turn the ball over. The flow of the offense goes there. I think they have one of the better backcourts in college basketball. But the part about Kansas where they don't get enough credit is on the defensive side of the floor, allowing the 5th lowest effective field goal percentage per Torvik, anchored by big man Flory Badunga, who is a walking double-double. Not really. He's like 13-9, but still almost 3 blocks per game. Any given night, 6th highest field goal percentage in the country. This guy can go off at any given moment. So they have Darren Peterson, they have Trey White, they have an elite, experienced senior ball handler and Council. They have a guy in Fadunga who is elite at the rim, elite efficiency from inside the 2-point arc or inside the 3-point arc. 6th highest field goal percentage in the league. Or in the country, excuse me. It's late. It's fucking late, guys. It's 4:30 in the morning. Excuse me if I'm misspeaking a little. Let me get a sip of water here and regroup. Either way, bottom line is this is a very, very tough matchup for a BYU team who, outside of Robert Wright, Saunders, and DeBansa, and all those guys are great. They're averaging 70 points per game. They're responsible for 65% of all BYU's field goals. Outside of those guys, there's not much to rely on offensively. Kita is a good big man. Was it Kibu Kita? I hope I'm saying his name right. He's a good big man. He's a presence down low. But Kansas is a better defensive team. Kansas is at home. Bill Self has only lost 16 times at home in his head coaching career as the Kansas head coach. I like Kansas in this game, and it should concern you a little bit about this BYU team that they lost to Arizona. And the final score made it look close, but if you watch that game, Arizona was in control the whole way till the final minute 30, and there were some favorable calls for BYU to put them back into that game from the officials. AJ DeBenson was a brick in that game as well. Arizona dominated. Texas Tech dominated BYU, and they lost to UConn, and UConn was dealing with some injuries in that game as well. Solo Ball only played like 20 minutes. So Texas Tech against or BYU against some of the good competition they've seen this year has not been good. Kansas is one of the best teams in the country with Peterson on the floor at home. I love Kansas all over Kansas in this game. I don't want to say I'm a BYU hater, but I just don't trust this BYU team, and I don't think you should until they give you a real good reason to against good competition. And this could be the opportunity for them to do that. If they go into Allen Fieldhouse and beat Kansas, yes, they're definitely title contenders. Like, definitely. But I like Kansas -4.5. I like Kansas the first half spread. I like Kansas halftime, Kansas full time. Like Kansas halftime, full time. All three of those plays will be on my slip today. I love all those. This game is must see TV. If you're a basketball fan, you got two must see TV: Michigan State, and then you got Kansas State or Kansas BYU. Even if you're not even a college basketball fan, if you're an NBA fan, you especially need to tune in to Kansas BYU. All right, Auburn, Tennessee. Auburn's a dangerous team, man. If they can heat up, they can score with anybody. They've won 4 of their last 5, including wins over Arkansas and a Florida team that was red hot going into that game. Auburn went into Gainesville and beat Florida, the defending champs. Keyshawn Hall is a bucket. Obviously, Tahad Pettiford, who's coming off the bench and is their second leading scorer, is a bucket. And they have some impressive wins over Houston earlier in the season, but Emmanuel Sharp only played 21 minutes. And they beat Louisville as well. But without Michael Brown. Or that was Tennessee, excuse me. Tennessee beat Houston with Emmanuel Sharp playing 20 minutes, and then they beat Louisville without Michael Brown as well. So they do have some good wins on their resume, but context will tell you maybe not the most impressive. They also have some bad losses, too, Tennessee does. They lost to Syracuse, lost to Kansas without Darren Peterson. Still a good team without Darren Peterson, but obviously it's not the same. Their wins are a little bit fraudulent. And two of Tennessee's last 3 wins came in overtime, and they beat Bama by 6. It was a 2-point game with 5 minutes left. Nobody scored for like 4 minutes. That game was tight the whole way. They don't win convincingly. Though their good wins aren't as good when you take into account some of the context for Tennessee. They have some bad losses. They rely on freshman Nate Ament, who has been incredible. He went off against Bama a few games ago. He's a good player. I just like something about Tahad Pettiford just talks to me the right way, man. I can't quite put my finger on. He's just an electric factory. And I did bet on Florida when they went down in that Auburn game, and Auburn blitzed them early, and they were able to hang on. Tennessee also turns the ball over a lot. For a team that has a senior guard in Jacoby Gillespie, they do turn the ball over a lot. They don't make their free throws, and Auburn is a team that doesn't turn the ball over, and they do make their free throws. And I trust them to score the basketball more than I trust Tennessee. This is tough because the SEC is just such a gauntlet. We don't have a line on this game yet, or at least the time I did research for this, there wasn't a line on this game yet. Let me just double check to see what the line is now, or if there is a line. But if it's like 5, like Tennessee will probably be favored because they're at home. Yeah, Tennessee's 6.5-point favorites. I think Auburn can win this game outright, but I'm gonna put Auburn plus 6.5. They're hotter. 6.5 points is a lot in an SEC conference that has been an absolute gauntlet down to the wire, especially a Tennessee team that went into overtime in 2 of their last 3 wins, and the other one was by 6 points against an Alabama team that I'm pretty sure Auburn beat Alabama earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken. They haven't played them yet. Never mind. Hand up. Never mind. But yeah, I like Auburn plus the points here. They're hot. Tennessee's been shaky. I think they're 3-4 in their last 6 or in their last 7 or whatever. Let me double check that too. This is just bad journalism. Your hand up. It's 4:30 in the morning. Cut me some slack here. They are 3-5 in their 5-3 in their last 8, with losses to Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky. Kentucky's not that good of a team either, man. Oh, this Tennessee team is tough, man. I'm staying with my gut. I like Auburn here. Kentucky at Arkansas. Another. I don't want to say must-see TV, but always a good matchup when you have a little bit of revenge here with Coach Cal against the Kentucky team that abandoned him, threw him out. Coach Cal hosting his old squad that is now a bunch of seniors and juniors with a few freshmen sprinkled in. Not gonna spend too much time on this game because I think Arkansas routs them. I think they're like 7-point favorites, which is a lot. I don't know if that's enough for me to put it on the slate, but Arkansas is a good squad, man. They beat Texas Tech, who I think is a legitimate national title contender with Anderson and obviously JT Toppin. They've got two guys that are top 10. Texas Tech does top 10 in the NCAA in 3-pointers made in Division One. They're a very good squad, and Arkansas handled them. They're just a fun team to watch, man. Darius Acuff is a beast, and they lost by 1 against Michigan State earlier in the year in non-conference play, and Acuff missed a 3 with like a minute left. So they're in a game in East Lansing against one of the best teams in the country in Michigan State. They beat Texas Tech. They handled Tennessee, a team that's 18th in defensive rating per Torvik. They dropped 86 on them, and Acuff had 29 against Tennessee. That's a good defensive squad. They mopped Vanderbilt, who's a ranked team this week. Probably won't be ranked for long. They mopped Vanderbilt by 20. Their only loss this year came against Houston at home, who I think is a top 5 team in the country. Or their only loss at home was Houston, excuse me. And Kentucky did win 5 straight before losing by 14 to Vanderbilt, too. So Kentucky was hot going into this game. I just think Arkansas is too talented with Malik Thomas, who's I got 5. If you remember that guy, I got 5. You a fake 4-star. I got 5. Also, Darius Acuff is a fucking stud. And when you look at Kentucky, when teams are ranked at the time they played Kentucky, they're 2-6. When teams are ranked in the top 20 this season, at the time Kentucky played them, Kentucky is 0-6. And Arkansas is hot. They're ranked 15th in the country. Darius Acuff is a dog. Arkansas is hot, winning 3 straight. 7.5 is a lot of points. It is a lot of points, especially, like I said, this ACC has been a gauntlet. So I'm not going to touch it, not adding it to the slip. Arkansas is a fun team to watch because of Darius Acuff, because of Malik Thomas. This is must-see TV. Turn this game on. I can't read my monitors. It's old. It's blurry. But 6:30, I think it says. I think it says 6:30. I don't fucking know. Either way, must-see TV in the SEC this week. Indiana at UCLA, another game to keep an eye on here. I thought Indiana's season was over. They lost 4 straight. Michigan State, Iowa, Michigan, Purdue, or they upset Purdue, excuse me, but they lost 4 straight to Nebraska, Michigan State, Iowa, Michigan, handled Rutgers, and then they upset Purdue. And now it's like, all right, hold on a second. This team is a little bit talented. I hate Indiana. I will forever root against Indiana after what Tanner and Tucker DeVries did, or DeVries, however the fuck you say their name, doesn't matter. Snake shit. Snake. Tucker DeVries could have played last year. There is video. I'm talking about West Virginia. Let me lay out the context here. The West Virginia Mountaineers got snubbed from the NCAA tournament last year for UNC, who was put in West Virginia was in the first 4 out. UNC was in the last 4 in. The president of the committee, of the selection committee, is also the athletic director at University of North Carolina. Funny how that works, right? Anyway, most quad 4 wins to ever not make the tournament or something crazy like that for West Virginia. Part of the reasoning was because Tucker DeVries wasn't healthy, even though they still deserve to be in, even though Tucker DeVries wasn't going to play. Either way, they still deserve to be in. Either way, West Virginia player went on live and said, yeah, Tucker DeVries was healthy. They just wanted to save his red shirt because his dad already accepted the Indiana job. That is just the snakiest, slimiest, no ethics, low moral, slimy snake, cockroach, disgusting, despicable fucking behavior. And he owes Javon Small and the West Virginia University Mountaineers in the state of West Virginia a fucking apology. So I will be betting against Indiana every single close game they have for the rest of fucking time. I hate that fucking school. I hate that coaching staff. I hate Tucker DeVries. I wish nothing but bad things on that family for what they did to the state of West Virginia and what they did to Javon Small, who carried a dog shit West Virginia team to the most quad 4 win team to ever get left out of the NCAA tournament. And UCLA is a good squad too. And Indiana gets fucking glazed by the computers, especially Torvik. They're on their dick. 7th best 3-point rate per Torvik against the UCLA team that is 323rd in 3-point rate defensively. There's not a line for this game yet. I think Indiana might be a slight favorite. Either way, I'm taking UCLA unless it's like they're 5.5, 6.5 point favorites, and I'm not taking them. Either way, if Indiana's draining their threes, they should win this game. Both teams play incredibly slow, so depending what the total is once the line drops, the under could be absolutely in play here. Both teams struggle to rebound, and both teams are right on the bubble, so this game is going to be huge for March Madness implications. It's going to be between Tucker Rat, don't know how to say it, or yeah, Tucker Rat DeVries and Tyler, I don't know how to say his last name, Bilodeau. The two star forwards each lead their team in scorings. But UCLA has a point guard that led the New Mexico Lobos to a few NCAA tournament appearances. That is Donovan Dent. I've been a fan of Donovan Dent ever since Dylan Kelly, our college basketball guru, told me about Donovan Dent 2 years ago. 6-to-1 turnover to or assist to turnover ratio. This guy can run a fucking offense, and he's got a lot of experience. I trust UCLA at home, undefeated at home as well, led by Donovan Dent, one of the best, most underrated point guards in the country. He can't really shoot the three ball a whole well, but he doesn't turn the ball over. He playmakes for everybody else, and they have the big to match up with Tucker DeVries. Give me UCLA. No clue what the spread is, but if it's less than 3.5, we'll go. If it's less, or if it's less than, yeah, if it's less than 4, or if it's 4, add it. If it's more than 4, don't add it. But if they're 4-point favorites, add this to my slip. Give me UCLA. UCLA has not lost a home game. Has not lost a home game this season. Indiana has been bad on the road against good competition. Routed by Michigan on the road. Routed by Michigan State on the road. Routed by Kentucky on the road. UCLA has not lost at home this season. Give me UCLA if it's like 3.5, 4.5 points. Ohio State at Wisconsin, real quick. This is a fun one. Wisconsin's been on a tear. They've won 9 of their last 11, including wins over Michigan and UCLA, 2 losses to USC and Purdue. I like Ohio State's guard Thornton. He cooked WU. That was an incredible game they played against West Virginia. Ohio State's a really weird team because they have some good wins, but then they also have some crazy losses, man. And they don't really have a statement win though. They don't. They beat UCLA. That's probably their best win, but they lost to Michigan, Nebraska, UNC, and Illinois. So every good team they play, they've lost. How good is Wisconsin here? And they lost to Pitt early on in the season. Pitt is fucking awful. But I really like Thornton. He's a good physical guard. He cooked West Virginia. OSU doesn't shoot. They don't shoot a lot of threes. Only 7 a game. 33% from beyond the arc. And Wisconsin takes a fuck ton of threes. 9th highest 3-point rate in the country. But Ohio State defends the 3 well. So it's two like something's got to give here. Ohio State doesn't shoot the 3 a lot. Wisconsin shoots the fuck out of the 3. Ohio State does defend the 3 pretty well. Wisconsin has a very experienced guard in Nick Boyd, who was on that FAU team that went to the Final Four, transferred to San Diego State, and then he transferred this year to Wisconsin. He's a 5th-year senior, very experienced, averaging 20 points per game. Him and Thornton is the matchup to watch here. I like Wisconsin, hotter team. I think this spread should be like 2.5, 3.5 points. If it's 2.5, I'll take it. If it's anything higher, leave it off my slip. And then St. Mary's at Gonzaga. Got to talk about it when these two Mountain West powerhouses see each other twice a year. First time seeing each other this year. St. Mary's at Gonzaga. St. Mary's lost to Vanderbilt by 25. And they have losses to Boise State and the Santa Clara Broncos. Nobody's talking about Gonzaga, but Gonzaga's a real problem, man. Their only losses to Michigan, they beat in UCLA, Kentucky, Alabama, Creighton, and Oklahoma in their out-of-conference play. They've been wiping through the Mountain West besides that one mishap, almost choke against Seattle. Graham Ike is a problem. He's not just a rim runner. He's not just a big that's going to average 80% from the field. That guy can shoot the 3, pass the rock as well. Pretty good for a big man. And they've got a bunch of young guards. That freshman from Spain's a baller. They share the rock. They play good defense. They score efficiently. Gonzaga's a real problem here. If the spread's anything lower than 12.5, add it to my slip here. Give me the Zags and the Bulldogs. What other games do we got here? Unfortunately, my guy Abuka Okori has not been playing his best basketball, and Stanford has lost 3 straight. I wouldn't say they're must-see TV anymore because he's not playing his best ball. But let's just go through, talk about some of the key matchups here really quickly in all the key conferences. North Carolina, Georgia Tech. North Carolina should rout them. Duke's 10.5-point favorites on the road against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's a sneaky team. Sneaky team. I think Duke handles them. Virginia Tech did lose to St. Mary's earlier in the year, and they did blow I think their season is over when Abuka Okori made like 4 threes in a row with a minute left against Stanford to come back down 10 against Virginia Tech. Either way, Duke that's a game you want to tune into that. The Cam Booz is must-see TV. That guy passes the ball way too good for a guy his size, and not to mention his scoring ability. Pitt, Clemson, don't care. SMU, Louisville. is a good game to keep an eye on. SMU's kind of fallen off a little bit. Louisville's a good squad with Michael Brown back. I believe that's his name. I hope I didn't just butcher his name. But I'm pretty sure that's his name. But yeah, Louisville's a fun team to watch. They just got beat up by Duke earlier this week. They're looking to bounce back against a good SMU squad. Nothing else really noteworthy here out of this conference. Stanford, Florida State, Miami quietly 17-4, 6-2 in ACC play. They have Cal. That could be a team to watch here going forward. Big 12. West Virginia needs to win these games, man, against a Baylor team that's 1-7 in Big 12 play at home. If the spread's like 6.5, 7.5, add it to my slip. I'll write that down now so I remember. Connor Huff is one of the best shot makers in the NFL. They're getting some NFL in NCAA. They're getting some better offensive output from Tanner Engerstaff, which is huge down the stretch. West Virginia, if 6.5, we'll say. Baylor's fucking awful. BYU, Kansas, obviously must-see TV. These are the games West Virginia needs to win, okay? They've opened up conference play with some tough opponents. They have their statement win, which is huge. They beat Kansas with Darren Peterson, but they've lost to Arizona. They lost to Iowa State. They need the hard part of their schedule is definitely behind them, but you can't drop games like this in the Big 12 if you aren't an elite Arizona Houston team. They lost Iowa State, lost Arizona. Their only tough opposition the rest of the way is BYU, who I already talked about. I'm not the highest guy on BYU out of all these teams in the Big 12. They have BYU at home. They have Texas Tech at home. And they beat Kansas at home already. Morgantown's a tough place to play. I'm not just saying that because I went there, asked fucking that Dickerson fat. Whoa. It's late. I almost said something very bad there. But you know that guy Dickinson that played at Michigan, then transferred to Kansas, never beat West Virginia. West Virginia, a very tough place to play. And the fact that they had Arizona in Arizona, they had Houston in Houston, and now they get the rest of their schedule is manageable. They could beat Cincinnati, they could beat UCF, they could beat Utah, they could beat TCU, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, UCF. Like those are all winnable games against bubble teams, and then they get the two hardest teams remaining on their schedule at home. So the hard part of West Virginia's schedule is behind them. Now's the time for them to really start rattling off some wins. It starts at home against Baylor on Saturday, okay? Otherwise, in the Big 12, not really any main marquee matchups. Arizona State could be fun just because it's a rivalry. Probably won't be, though. Texas Tech should handle UCF, even though UCF's not a bad squad. I have not watched any UCF, but I did not know they're 16-4. They beat Kansas. They beat Kansas at home as well. Lost to Iowa State. Lost to Arizona. So they've lost to some of the big dogs. They lost to Oklahoma State. UCF can maybe pull off a little upset here, just going off of record and that they beat Kansas at home before. But I like Texas Tech too much. Yeah, I mean, not too much going on in the Big 12. The SEC is probably the most entertaining conference of Saturday. We talked about it briefly, or we talked about like the main matchups here. Georgia A&M, winner of that game will probably be ranked. That's probably a big bubble game. Red River Rivalry, I don't even know if they call it that in college basketball, if they even care. Ole Miss, Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt should take care of business. And then what's the last one? Did we do all of them? Big Ten. Ohio State, Wisconsin. Yeah, we talked about Rutgers, USC. USC is a team that I'm not done with Baker Mazara and then Gilbert Arenas' kid. They're a team I'm not done. I'm done with. They just beat Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a good squad. They did lose to Iowa. They're a team I'm not done with either. Anyway, like, subscribe every Saturday or every Friday. College basketball Saturday preview. I went 2-1 last week. We'll see what I go this week. I think college basketball historically. I've been gambling since I was 17 years old. Is my best sport. So we'll see. Like and subscribe on YouTube. I love all you guys. I'll talk to you guys in the next episode of the Fire Sports Takes podcast.